My brother arrived at my doorstep with a rental truck, but I wasn't surprised. My attorney was already waiting in the driveway with paperwork in hand. Hey there, welcome back to the channel where family drama meets cold, hard justice. Before we dive into this absolutely insane story, take a second to join our community below. Your support keeps these stories coming, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. The betrayal still burns in my chest as I write this. Every word feels like pulling glass from a wound that won't heal. But I need strangers to tell me if I've lost my mind, because everyone with my last name certainly thinks I have. My name is James. I'm 29, and everything I own I've earned with blood, sweat, and sacrifice. After crushing it through my computer science degree, I landed at a Silicon Valley startup that hit the jackpot when we went public. While my friends were out living their 20s, I was pulling 65-hour weeks, eating instant noodles, and investing every spare penny. Last year, all that grinding finally paid off. I closed on a stunning 5-bedroom estate in the hills of Northern California. Pool, grounds that stretch forever, and mountain views that make you forget the world exists. This house, it's not just property. It's proof that the quiet kid who got ignored at every family dinner actually made something of himself. Then there's my younger brother, Michael, 26 going on 16. 2 college dropouts on his record, a resume that reads like a tour of every dead-end job in California, and a talent for making our parents' money disappear faster than a magic trick. Yet somehow, he's still the golden child, the one with potential, the one who just needs one more chance. Meanwhile, I'm the ATM with a pulse who should be grateful they even remember my name at Christmas. Our parents, Robert and Patricia, have perfected the art of selective blindness. When Michael crashes another car, accidents happen. When he loses another job, the economy's tough. When I bought my house, must be nice to show off your money. 7 months ago, Michael dropped the bomb. He was engaged to Jennifer, a woman he'd been dating for all of 11 months. The family erupted in celebration like he'd just cured cancer. Me, I kept my mouth shut and watched the show unfold. The trap was set during a family dinner at my parents' place. We were halfway through dessert when my mother's eyes lit up with that dangerous gleam I'd learned to fear. You know, James has that magnificent property, she announced, her voice dripping with false casualness. Perfect for an outdoor ceremony, all those beautiful gardens just sitting there. I felt my throat close up as I sipped my iced tea. Patricia's right, my father jumped in, right on cue. All that space, and you're just one person rattling around in there. Family supports family, son. Michael leaned forward, his eyes already calculating. Brother, this would be everything to us. You know what these event spaces charge? We got a quote yesterday, $18,000, just for the venue. Your place is 10 times nicer. Jennifer's hand found Michael's, her engagement ring catching the light, a ring I'd later learn my parents helped finance. I've always dreamed of a garden ceremony, she said, her voice perfectly pitched between hopeful and heartbroken. But with our budget, the table fell silent, 6 pairs of eyes boring into me. The weight of 29 years of being the responsible one, the one who fixes things, the one who never says no to family, pressed down on my shoulders. I need to consider it, I managed, my voice sounding weak even to my own ears. The campaign began before I even made it to my car that night. Text messages, voicemails, emails with subject lines like family first and don't break your mother's heart. My phone became a weapon they wielded against my sanity. My mother called me during work meetings. Michael sent photos of Jennifer crying. My aunts, women who hadn't spoken to me in years, suddenly remembered my number to remind me about the importance of family bonds. After 4 weeks of psychological warfare, I cracked like glass under pressure. Okay, I told Michael during his 14th guilt trip call that week. The backyard is yours for the ceremony, but I have rules. Anything, James, you're saving us. Jennifer's going to be so. Listen to the conditions first, I cut him off, trying to salvage some control. You handle all setup and cleanup. Any damages you pay immediately. The house stays locked except for 2 designated bathrooms. Reception ends at 11 sharp because of noise laws. Maximum 85 guests, non-negotiable. Done, done, and done. Michael agreed so fast it should have been my warning sign. Desperate people don't negotiate. They just wait for their moment. What followed was an invasion disguised as wedding planning. Jennifer materialized at my house like a ghost, appearing without warning or invitation. She'd prowl my gardens with her phone out, documenting every angle, every corner, every blade of grass that didn't meet her standards. These rose bushes need reshaping, she announced one afternoon, materializing behind me while I worked from my laptop on the patio. The roses are fine. But for the photos, the roses are fine. Her lips pursed into a thin line. The next day, she returned with paint samples for the gazebo, then estimates for resurfacing the pool area, then lighting consultants who spoke about ambience like it was holy scripture. Each rejection triggered a phone call from my mother. Each phone call was a masterclass in emotional manipulation. Was I trying to ruin their special day? Didn't I understand the stress they were under? Why was I being so difficult when they just wanted things to be perfect? 8 weeks before the wedding, I returned from a conference in Seattle to find my backyard transformed into a construction planning site. Michael, Jennifer, a woman with a tablet who screamed, "wedding planner," and a contractor with measuring tape were deep in discussion near my pool. "What the hell is this?" My voice carried across the yard. Michael's trademark sheepish grin appeared. "Just getting some quick estimates, bro. Nothing crazy." Estimates for what exactly? The contractor jumped in, clearly not reading the room. "Temporary dance floor over the pool. Beautiful idea, really. Very trendy. I can do it for." "Get out." My voice was deadly quiet. "All of you now." The professionals scattered, but Michael and Jennifer lingered like a bad smell. "You're being completely irrational," Jennifer spat, dropping her sweet act entirely. "This is my property. You don't bring strangers here without permission. We're trying to make this special. Special for you, not for me. This conversation is over." That night, my mother called in tears. Actual tears. How could I humiliate them in front of wedding professionals? Didn't I understand? Why was I destroying the family? My therapist, Dr. Martinez, a godsend I'd found 3 years ago when the family dynamics started affecting my work, reminded me during an emergency session that boundaries weren't cruel. They were necessary. "You're not responsible for their reactions to your reasonable limits," she said. But knowing that and feeling it were universes apart. The wedding countdown became a ticking time bomb. 5 weeks out, and the guest list had mysteriously inflated like a balloon about to burst. 170 names appeared on a spreadsheet Jennifer, accidentally, forwarded to me. "We agreed on 85 people." I confronted Michael over the phone, my patience worn thinner than paper. "It's just family. Jennifer's relatives already booked flights from Texas. Her grandmother is 91, James. This might be her last family gathering." That phrase, "just family," had become Michael's skeleton key for every locked door I tried to maintain. 100 guests, maximum, and I need liability insurance plus a signed contract. A contract between brothers. His voice dripped with practiced hurt, especially between brothers. 4 weeks before the wedding, I discovered their true intentions. I'd arrived at my parents' house 40 minutes early for our monthly dinner, hopping to help with preparation. Michael and Jennifer were in the living room, their voices carrying clearly into the kitchen where I stood frozen. "Once we're back from Cabo, we'll already be moved in," Jennifer was saying. "The timing couldn't be more perfect." "You sure James won't lose it?" Michael asked. "Your parents will manage him. Besides, it's temporary, 8 months, maybe a year tops. Just until we save for a down payment. That master suite is absolutely gorgeous. I've already picked out new curtains." My blood turned to ice water in my veins. I stepped into the doorway. "What exactly are you planning?" The silence was deafening. Michael's face cycled through emotions, surprise, guilt, then defiance. "Hey bro, we were just discussing. After the wedding. You were discussing moving into my house." Jennifer recovered first, tears already pooling in her eyes on command. "Michael said you had all that space. We thought you'd offered." "I offered nothing." My mother chose that moment to walk in from the garage, arms full of grocery bags. "What's all this tension? Your son and his fiancée are planning to move into my house without asking." Her face lit up like Christmas morning. "Oh, how wonderful. You have 5 bedrooms, James. It makes perfect sense." The fight that erupted should have been recorded for future therapy sessions. My parents insisted I was selfish. Michael claimed I'd made promises I never made. Jennifer sobbed about their financial struggles. I stood my ground like a lighthouse in a hurricane. "If this continues," I said, my voice cutting through their chorus of guilt, "I'm withdrawing my offer to host the wedding." The room went silent as a tomb. "You wouldn't dare," my mother whispered. "Try me." The next 2 weeks were psychological warfare at its finest. Radio silence punctuated by strategic strikes, a tearful voicemail from an aunt here, a disappointed text from a cousin there. Then, 3 days ago, the nuclear option arrived. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, flagged me down at the mailbox. "James, how exciting about your basement conversion. Michael mentioned you're creating a full apartment down there. Michael mentioned what? Oh, he was here yesterday asking if we knew any reliable contractors. Said it was a surprise for you. I called Michael immediately, my hands shaking with rage. Just gathering information for the future, he said defensively. What future? You're not moving in. Jennifer's pregnant. The words hung between us like a loaded weapon. I processed this manipulation with the calm of someone who'd finally seen the full playbook. Congratulations! Find an apartment. How can you be so heartless? Your future niece or nephew will visit during holidays when invited. I hung up and immediately called my attorney, Thomas Richardson, whom I'd kept on retainer since buying the house. Within 72 hours, I had papers drawn up, formal trespass notices, cease and desist letters, the works. I also upgraded my security system with 8 new cameras and changed every lock on the property. The family explosion could have been measured on the Richter scale. My phone became unusable from the barrage of messages. My father appeared at my door uninvited, demanding I stop this insanity and support your brother's growing family. I am supporting them. Free venue. That's $12,000 in savings. That's not enough. Family means sacrifice. I've sacrificed plenty. Michael's 26. Time he learns to stand on his own feet. He left, slamming my door so hard the frame cracked. So here I was, 72 hours before this wedding, wondering if I should just cancel everything. But something in me had shifted. The comments on my original post, strangers who saw through the manipulation immediately, had awakened something. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't selfish. I was just done being a doormat. Update posted 72 hours before the wedding. If you're just joining this saga, hit that follow button, because what happens next will blow your mind. The response to my original post was overwhelming. Thousands of you confirming what my therapist had been saying for years. I wasn't the problem. 48 hours after posting, I made my stand. I called Michael with an ultimatum. Show me the liability insurance, sign the original contract with no alterations, and provide a written statement that he and Jennifer would not attempt to establish residency at my property or find another venue. He detonated. The wedding is in 3 days. Everyone's flying in. Then you'd better move fast. What followed was 24 hours of familial terrorism. My mother appeared at my office, something she'd never done in my entire career. She created such a scene in our lobby that building security had to escort her out. She was wailing, literally wailing, about how I was destroying everything. My manager, thankfully, was understanding. Family drama, he asked after she'd been removed. You have no idea. That evening, my father arrived with Uncle Tony, a coordinated attack. Tony played the mediator while my father went for the jugular, threatening to write me out of the will. I actually laughed. What will? The house you refinanced twice for Michael's failed ventures. The retirement fund you liquidated for his BMW. Write me out of nothing. See if I care. They left when I started dialing the police. The next morning, Michael finally sent the insurance policy, $2 million in coverage. Good. But the contract had been doctored. Where it originally stated, reception ends at 11 p.m., it now read, reception ends at a reasonable hour. The guest limit of 100 people had become approximately 100 attendees. Nice try, I told him over the phone. Send the original unedited or find another venue. You're being a fascist, he screamed. I'm being a homeowner. 3 hours later, Jennifer called, deploying tears like weapons. James, I'm pregnant and scared. This should be the happiest time of my life. My grandmother is 88, flying in from Boston. This might be her last family event. How can you do this? I'm not doing anything. I made a generous offer with simple conditions. You and Michael are the ones trying to manipulate the situation. She hung up on me. Last night at 11:47 p.m., Michael finally sent the correctly signed documents, but he also sent a group message to 43 family members. Despite James threatening us 72 hours before our wedding, Jennifer and I have surrendered to his heartless demands. We're heartbroken that money and property matter more to him than family, but we'll sign whatever he demands so our grandmothers can see us marry. The responses were swift and brutal. Cousins called me cold. Aunts said they didn't recognize who I'd become. One uncle suggested I needed therapy for my control issues. I responded with my own group message. I'm providing my $850,000 property free of charge for your wedding, saving you approximately $12,000 in venue fees. I'm accepting full liability for 100 guests. All I've asked for is respect for my property and clarity about living arrangements. If that makes me a villain, I'll wear the title. Half the family sided with me after that, creating a rift that might last forever. But I'd found my spine, and I wasn't giving it back. The wedding is in 48 hours, and I've hired security. 3 off-duty officers who'll be checking names at the entrance and ensuring everyone's gone by 11 p.m. sharp. I've installed temporary cameras covering every angle of the property. My best friend David and his wife Sarah are staying with me through the weekend as witnesses and moral support. They've been rocks through this nightmare, reminding me that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about who shows up when everything's falling apart. Update 2, the day after the wedding. The wedding is over. My house survived. My family, that's another story entirely. The circus began at 6:30 a.m. with vendors rolling in. I was ready with a clipboard and regulations. David handled the chaos while I tried to work from my home office, pretending this was just another Saturday. At 8:45 a.m., Jennifer's wedding planner tried to breach the perimeter, claiming she needed to set up a bridal suite in my master bedroom. David blocked her at the door. She called Jennifer, who called Michael, who called my mother, who naturally called me. Just let them use one room for preparation, she begged. They have a hotel suite for that. But, click, at 11:30, I noticed something wrong. The setup crew was arranging chairs, way too many chairs. I counted 170 seats being positioned across my lawn. I marched over to the crew chief, who showed me an order for 170 chairs with Michael's signature. Remove 70 chairs, now. But sir, we already. 100 chairs or 0 chairs. Choose. They grumbled but complied, while Michael arrived at 1:30 with his groomsmen trying to play it off. Come on, James, they're just chairs. They're 70%, more than we agreed on. Some people might not show. Then you'll have empty seats. Contract says 100, period. The security team arrived at 2:30 and immediately proved their worth. They turned away a professional DJ who'd shown up with concert-grade speakers that would have had the cops here before the vows were finished. Apparently, Michael had hired him that morning to replace the agreed-upon acoustic guitarist. The DJ left furious, screaming about breach of contract, while Michael scrambled to get the guitarist back. Guests began arriving at 3:30 for the 4:30 ceremony. My security team checked every single name. By 4:15, they'd turned away 18 people who weren't on the list. Each rejection triggered a small explosion. Phone calls, complaints, someone's aunt claiming she'd been invited verbally. The officers stood firm like Secret Service agents. The ceremony itself, I'll give credit where it's due, was actually beautiful. The weather cooperated, the gardens looked incredible, and Jennifer was stunning in her dress. For roughly 45 minutes, I thought maybe, just maybe, we'd get through this. Then the reception started, and the mask came off. Despite having the contracted guitarist, Michael had arranged for a friend to smuggle in professional amplification equipment. When they started setting up massive speakers, I intervened immediately. Absolutely not. It's just for speeches, Michael protested, his face already flushing red. Use the guitarist's microphone or use nothing. My father stepped between us. James, you're creating a scene at your brother's wedding. No, Michael's creating a scene by violating our contract. Again, the equipment was removed, but the tension was thick enough to cut. Guests were whispering, choosing sides. I heard one aunt mutter, "James has lost his mind," while a cousin responded, "It's his damn house, though." At 7:30 p.m., something shifted the entire game. Jennifer's grandmother, the 88-year-old from Boston, approached me with a warm smile. "You must be James," she said kindly. "Such a magnificent property. How generous of you." "Thank you, Mrs. Harrison." She leaned in with a conspiratorial whisper. "Jennifer told me about your offer to let them live in the guest wing after the honeymoon. That's extraordinarily generous of you." My blood froze. "I'm sorry, what did she tell you?" "Oh, she's been telling everyone about your generous offer. The basement apartment you're converting for them. Such a wonderful brother-in-law you are." I found David immediately. "We have a situation." David and Sarah worked the crowd like spies, casually extracting information. The stories varied wildly. Some heard about a guest house arrangement. Others were told about a basement renovation. Jennifer's cousins had been told I was giving them the master suite while I moved to a smaller room. At 9:15 p.m., I gave the 45-minute warning. Michael laughed in my face. "Party's just starting, bro. Party's ending at 11, as agreed." "James, don't be that guy. I'm being exactly the guy who owns this property." At 10:45 p.m., I killed the power to all outdoor lighting and the sound system. The message was received. Guests began filing out, though not without commentary. Michael was boiling with rage but couldn't explode with guests still present. As the last stragglers left at 10:35, Jennifer approached me. The tears in her eyes weren't sad, they were furious. "You destroyed our wedding," she hissed through clenched teeth. "I hosted your wedding for free. You're welcome." "We'll remember this," Michael added, the threat clear in his voice. "So will I responded, meeting his eyes without flinching. The cleanup crew worked until 1 a.m. I supervised every second, documenting minimal damage while ensuring nothing was forgotten behind. David and Sarah stayed until the bitter end, witnesses to everything. This morning, I woke to 93 text messages. The family group chat had detonated overnight with wedding photos and commentary about my behavior. The family was splitting like a fault line, some calling me controlling, others defending my property rights. But here's where it gets interesting. And if you're not subscribed yet, you'll want to be for what comes next. My cousin Catherine had overheard Michael and Jennifer at the hotel bar after they thought everyone had left. They were telling Jennifer's family they planned to show up at my house after their honeymoon with a moving truck, believing that family pressure and the pregnancy announcement would force me to cave. I've already got my attorney on speed dial for Monday morning to discuss restraining orders if necessary. I've arranged for security patrols for the next 6 weeks. The wedding might be over, but I can feel it in my bones. This war is just beginning. Final update, posted 8 weeks later. I've wrestled with whether to share this final chapter for weeks. Part of me wanted to bury this whole nightmare and move forward. But I know you've been invested in this insanity, and honestly, writing it helps me process the madness that my life became. Michael and Jennifer returned from their honeymoon in Cabo, funded entirely by Jennifer's parents, exactly as Catherine had warned. On a Sunday afternoon at 2:15 p.m., they rolled up to my house with a 26-foot U-Haul and Jennifer's parents in tow. I was ready. The security cameras alerted me the second they turned onto my street. I met them at the door with David and Thomas, my attorney, briefcase in hand. "What's this supposed to be?" Michael asked, gesturing at the truck like I was blind. "Looks like you're confused about where you live," I said calmly. Jennifer's mother, Linda, stepped forward with practiced indignation. "James, surely you're not turning away a pregnant woman and your own brother." "I'm not turning anyone away, because nobody lives here but me." Thomas stepped forward, handing Michael a formal trespass notice. "Mr. Wilson, this formally notifies you that you are not welcome on this property without explicit written invitation. Any attempt to establish residency will result in immediate legal action." Jennifer's tears started on cue, her favorite weapon. "Where are we supposed to go? We gave up our apartment." "That sounds like spectacularly poor planning." My parents arrived within 12 minutes, clearly summoned as reinforcements. The scene in my driveway was absurd. A moving truck, 6 adults in verbal combat, and my lawyer calmly documenting everything on his phone. "James, this is insanity," my mother shrieked. "They're family. Family doesn't ambush people with moving trucks." My father tried his CEO voice. "Son, we need to discuss this privately inside." "No, we don't. This is my property. I've been clear for months." The standoff lasted nearly 3 hours. Neighbors came out with lawn chairs to watch. Eventually, I called the police myself to enforce the trespass notice. The officers were professional, making it crystal clear that Michael and Jennifer had zero legal right to be there. The U-Haul left, followed by a convoy of disappointed relatives. But that was just the opening act. For the next 4 weeks, I endured a harassment campaign that would have broken a weaker person. My mother called sobbing every single day at exactly 7 p.m. My father sent 12-page emails about family duty and disappointment. Aunts and uncles I hadn't heard from in years suddenly remembered my number. Jennifer's family launched a full social media assault, painting me as a heartless monster who'd made a pregnant woman homeless. The breaking point came when Michael posted on Facebook that I had destroyed their lives and caused Jennifer to have pregnancy complications from the stress. The post went viral in our community, 3,000 shares in 2 days. I started receiving death threats. Someone left a dead pigeon on my doorstep with a note calling me soulless scum. My car was keyed, twice. That's when I decided to go nuclear with the truth. I spent an entire weekend compiling evidence. Every text message, every email, every contract, every single lie, manipulation, and broken agreement from the past 7 months. I created a comprehensive timeline with receipts and screenshots. But the crown jewel? The security footage from the wedding. Remember those cameras I installed? They captured everything. including Jennifer telling her bridesmaids in my garden while adjusting her dress that she wasn't actually pregnant. Her exact words, crystal clear on audio. "I'm not pregnant yet, but once we're living in that house, I will be within 2 months. James won't evict a baby. It's foolproof." I posted everything on Facebook, tagging all 43 family members who'd attacked me. The post was titled, "The Truth About Why Michael and Jennifer Aren't Living in My House." The explosion was nuclear. Jennifer's family went into immediate damage control, trying to delete comments and block people. My parents were mortified, not at Michael and Jennifer's lies, but at me for airing dirty laundry. But then something beautiful happened. The truth started flowing like water through a broken dam. My cousin Catherine came forward, revealing that Michael had borrowed $7,500 from her for the wedding and ghosted her afterward. Uncle Tony admitted Michael owed him $15,000 from a guaranteed investment 4 years ago. Jennifer's own cousin reached out privately, sharing that Jennifer had pulled the exact same scam on her college roommate, moved in temporarily, and refused to leave for 11 months until the police got involved. 3 other cousins messaged me with their own Michael stories. Borrowed money never returned. Business schemes that collapsed. Lies upon lies upon lies. We started a group chat called Michael Survivors United, dark humor, but it helped. The family split like an earthquake had hit. My parents doubled down on supporting Michael, even offering to let them move into their house. That lasted exactly 9 days. Here's what happened, according to my aunt who heard it from my mother's best friend. Michael and Jennifer tried to renovate my parents' master bedroom without permission, claiming it was outdated. They were caught selling my mother's vintage jewelry collection online to fund their new beginning. My father found his golf clubs listed on eBay. The final straw? They adopted 2 puppies without asking, claiming they needed emotional support animals for Jennifer's pregnancy trauma. My parents kicked them out at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. The same parents who'd called me heartless were now changing their locks. Michael and Jennifer ended up moving to Phoenix with Jennifer's parents. Last I heard through the family grapevine, they'd already worn out their welcome there too. Something about trying to turn the pool house into an Airbnb without permission. As for my family relationships, my parents and I exchange polite texts on holidays. We can sit through a dinner without fighting, but the warmth we once had is dead and buried. They still insist I should have helped more. I've accepted they'll never see Michael as anything but a victim. Michael blocked me on everything after sending one final text. "You're dead to me." The feeling is entirely mutual. I haven't spoken to him in 8 weeks, and I plan to keep that streak going forever. The extended family remains divided. Some aunts and uncles apologized once the truth came out. Others still think I'm selfish and cold. I've made peace with both reactions. Their opinions stopped mattering the moment they chose manipulation over truth. But here's the unexpected silver lining. And hit that subscribe button if you want more stories about standing up to toxic family. I've grown incredibly close to other family members who have been Michael's victims over the years. We have monthly dinners now, supporting each other, sharing stories, laughing about the absurdity of it all. We call ourselves the Michael Survivors Club, and it's become the healthiest family relationship I've ever had. My therapist, Dr. Martinez, has been invaluable. She helped me understand I'd been programmed from birth to be the responsible one, the fixer, the family ATM. Breaking that programming was like detoxing from a drug, painful, necessary, and ultimately liberating. I've also learned the power of documentation. Every weird interaction, every red flag, every gut feeling that something was off, I documented it all. When the time came to defend myself, I had receipts for everything. The security cameras were worth every penny. The house is peaceful now. I upgraded to a military-grade security system and made it crystal clear to everyone with my DNA that surprise visits will be met with police involvement. No exceptions. I'm dating someone new, Elizabeth, who's been incredibly supportive through this aftermath. She actually thanked me for having such strong boundaries, saying it proved I'd protect our future family from toxic people. She's met the Michael Survivors Club and fits right in. Looking back, could I have handled things differently? Maybe, but I don't regret a single boundary I set. My home is my sanctuary, my achievement, my proof that working hard and living with integrity pays off. Nobody, not even blood relatives, has the right to steal that. For those of you dealing with similar situations, here's my hard-earned wisdom. First, trust your instincts when something feels wrong. That gut feeling exists for a reason. Second, document absolutely everything. Screenshots, recordings, emails, save it all. Third, Get legal help early, not when it's already a crisis. Fourth, stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. They'll just complain the fire isn't big enough. Fifth, no is a complete sentence. Use it. Sixth, sharing DNA doesn't give anyone a free pass to abuse you. Seventh, it's not just okay to cut toxic people out. Sometimes it's necessary for survival. Before we wrap up, and if you've made it this far, definitely join our community below because you're our kind of people. There's one final update. Jennifer's sister reached out last week to apologize for her family's behavior. She confirmed what we all suspected. Jennifer was never pregnant. It was a manipulation tactic she'd used 3 times before with different targets. The pregnancy complications Michael posted about, complete fiction. The ultrasound photos Jennifer showed people, downloaded from Google. My house remains mine. My life remains mine. And for the first time in 29 years, I'm living both completely on my own terms. No guilt, no manipulation, no fake emergencies at 2 a.m. The family members who matter respect my boundaries. The ones who don't, they've shown me exactly who they are, and I believe them. Some people say I lost my family through this ordeal. I disagree. I lost manipulators, liars, and users. What I gained was self-respect, peace of mind, and a chosen family who actually cares about my well-being. My house is no longer just a building. It's a fortress of boundaries, a symbol of standing up for myself, and proof that you can survive walking away from toxic family. Michael and Jennifer are now living their consequences 3 states away. My parents are learning what boundaries mean. And me, I'm finally free. To everyone who followed this journey, who sent support, who shared their own stories of family manipulation, thank you. You kept me sane when I thought I was losing my mind. You reminded me that family isn't about blood. It's about respect, love, and mutual support. The house that was almost stolen is now filled with people who actually care about me. Last weekend, the Michael Survivors Club had a barbecue in the same backyard where the wedding disaster happened. We laughed, we shared stories, we celebrated our freedom from manipulation. That's the real happy ending. Not revenge, not vindication, but freedom. Beautiful, peaceful, drama-free freedom. And no, before anyone asks in the comments, I haven't forgiven them. Forgiveness is earned, not demanded. What I've done is release them from my life and my thoughts. They're someone else's problem now. My door remains closed to users. But for genuine friends, chosen family, and people who respect boundaries, it's wide open. That's my story. Thank you for listening, for supporting, and for confirming I wasn't crazy. Sometimes that validation from strangers is exactly what we need to trust ourselves again. Welcome to the other side of family manipulation. The view is spectacular.